Tiny tales living in my hometown. Wedding bells, they begin easy. Live it down, baby, don't talk that much. Baby knows that baby don't tease me. In the park, we could go walking. Down in the dark, we could go sailing on the sea. Always here, always on time, close call. Was it love or was it just easy? Money talks when people need shoes and socks. Steady boys that think that she needs me. I was just sipping on something sweet. I don't need political process. Got this feeling that they're gonna break down the door. Got this feeling that they're gonna come back for more. See, I was thinking that I lost my mind, but it's been getting to me all this time. And don't stop dragging me down. Silently reflection turns my world to stone. Patiently correction leaves us all alone. And sometimes I'm a traveling, but tonight this engine's failing. And I still hear the children playing. Kick the can, skipping blackjack. Steal a car and ring around Rosie. Rock and roll, Candyland, boogeyman. Run away and give me your sneakers. Acid rain when Babel looked up at Cain. We began weeping and wailing. Hurry hide from pestilence, pills and pride. It's a shame we could have gone sailing, but heaven knows everything tranquilized. I got this feeling that they're gonna break down the door. I got this feeling that they're gonna come back for more. See, I was thinking that I lost my mind, but it's been getting to me all this time. And don't stop dragging me down. Silently reflection turns my world to stone. Patiently correction leaves us all alone. And sometimes I'm a traveling, but tonight this engine's failing. And I still hear the children playing. Deadbeat dances come to us and stay. 'Cause I don't care where you've been, and I don't care what you've seen. We're the ones who still believe, and we're looking for a page in that lifeless book of hope, where dreams might help you cope, where the bushes and the bombs, oh, tranquilize.
All right, how's everybody doing this evening? Welcome to Dudes Talking. I have Suzanne on the line, who's been in the chats very time, good personal friend of the show. How are you doing this evening, Suzanne?
I'm doing great, John. How are you doing?
Doing good. Of course, we first met in the Grimerica chats. Oh, it's been probably about 2 years ago now.
Yeah,
It's been about that
at
long.
least 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and Suzanne's definitely been someone who I trust with my research. She's become a dear friend of everybody that's in the circle, personal friends of mine and everything. And she's really good at researching, and that's why I wanted to bring her on this episode of Dudes Talking, so we can get down to some bottom of some things and discuss some things of what's going on. And his conversation is probably going to stay topical to things that happened this week, but it might go a little bit more than that. Suzanne, do you want to start with the stuff that came out about Epstein recently?
Oh, let's see. His broken, what's that bone that they broke?
The
allegedly.
The hyoid bone, which, of course, with my medical knowledge, usually that occurs when someone is trying to strangulate you to death. It can break it can break when you are hanging yourself or trying to commit suicide. It can, but again, the hyoid, you're going to put pressure on that when you're trying to choke somebody. Because your hand is gonna grasp the hyoid and all the way down to the larynx.
And what is that bone most used for?
Talk about the hyoid bone.
Yes. What does that do?
It sits below the mandible, which is your jaw, and it sits above where the trachea is, and so it kind of allows your tongue and your pharynx and your larynx to be able to move properly.
So you can speak
in that general area, yes, and so you can and eat, and how it helps with the muscle attachments of those general muscles in those general areas. So yes, it does help with breathing, swallowing, speech. So yeah, when someone's choking you, they're gonna choke. They're gonna compress the hyoid bone. They might break it. It can be broken. Usually when someone is choking you, it can be broken through hanging oneself too. But again, he had multiple bones. Epstein had multiple bones broken in his neck. And again, he could not have done that through they don't give sheets. You don't get sheets. And if you did get a sheet, supposedly they're supposed to be paper thin, and there's not enough clearance for him to hang himself. That's if, of course, if Epstein's dead. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
If he's dead.
If this is real, if it is real that he is dead, and hasn't been, taken out, some extraction team, as Jimmy and I have talked about, Suzanne, coming to get him or whatever. But yeah, so it is very weird to me, looking at his, the results that came in from his autopsy report with my medical knowledge. I don't think that if he was murdered. Or if he is dead, should I say? I think he was murdered. I think he was choked to death. He was not hung. So yeah, I think that
which would correlate with the screeching or screaming that his cellmate or the other cell people allegedly heard.
Yeah, because you wouldn't do that.
Someone was choking.
Yes, because you'd be fighting against the person.
It'd almost be involuntary that the
yes.
sound would come out of your mouth.
Yes, where if you were hung, it'd be almost, I'm not saying you couldn't scream when you're hung, but it'd be more difficult.
Right.
So yeah, it does fit with that. So, I mean, we can't really tell what's true and what's not. As always, they're always going to try to muddy the waters. But if we do take this narrative that the autopsy is real, in the case it does cast a lot of doubt towards him committing suicide and hanging himself, and representing more of him being assassinated, that he was choked to death. And Jeffrey Epstein was generally in good shape for his age, even though he was, he wasn't. Some people excuse it and say, well, Suzanne, those bones breaking could have been because he hung himself because he was a little bit elderly. No, Epstein took decent care of himself and was in decent shape. So to get all of those bones broken in his neck, to get his hyoid bone broken as well, it would likely be strangulation and not hanging oneself from suicide. What do you got to say about all that?
And they basically said that he was like pushing himself, or the way that they described him hanging himself was almost like he was extending out away from his bunk or something, and like purposely choking himself. And I'm sorry, but your body would involuntarily kick in. And I mean, I just don't see how that could even be possible.
Well, it wouldn't, because he would have released his grip when he passed out, and he would have started breathing again from it. But he would have had he would have had a severely damaged hyoid bone and larynx, but he still would have been able to breathe. And that's again, the way the hyoid bone is structured, it is below the mandible but above the trachea. It is not easily susceptible to fracture, like I mentioned earlier, meaning that usually if someone is strangled, it breaks the hyoid bone. It fractures it, okay? When you hang yourself, that does not happen.
Right, only if it's like you're on top of one of those old hanging platforms.
Yes,
or,
yes.
You're on a ladder. It's the force.
Force.
Yeah. So.
It takes a lot of force and momentum to fracture the hyoid bone. So yeah, it's laughable to me.
What do you think Barr's gonna do with this? What do you think he's gonna? What do you think our illustrious AG is gonna do?
Well, I mean, as we've talked about here previously, we've read the documents. William Barr is the fixer man. Yes. So I'm pretty sure. I've heard people still say, "Well, now," even Josh Reeves said this, and I was a bit surprised. Well, the investigation is still going on. Yeah, it is, but I don't think anything's going to come of it. Now, if Josh could convince me otherwise, then maybe I'll sit here and think about it. But he didn't really. The last show he was on, he didn't give me enough information to really convince me that anything is going to come of this said investigation that's continuing. I know we'll get some more information here and there, and Ghislaine Maxwell might be the sacrificial lamb that that Epstein may not have been.
The only one.
I agree with that, but the thing is I still Barr's a fixer. This ain't going anywhere. Yeah. It's under his Department of Justice. They ain't. Everybody will say, "What about when they FBI raided Epstein's island?" That was to make sure that nothing was left there. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, Suzanne, I know that you ain't no Q-tip. You don't trust the plan. So why would anybody believe that? Why would anybody ever believe that William Barr has our best interests at heart? That he's our guy, and he's going to make sure that we get down to the bottom of trying to solve who murdered Jeffrey Epstein, or what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, or continuing the case investigating Jeffrey Epstein. Now I know New York is who's handling it. Okay, I understand that, but still, Bill Barr is going to have some pull. Okay, with the investigation. And remember, Comey's daughter's on the team too. All right.
Oh my gosh.
So this ain't going anywhere, in my opinion.
No. Well, and okay, so this is what I suspect, that Barr's going to step down. You know, what did he do when Epstein first was arrested? He recused himself right away.
Well, there was confusion about that. There was confusion about this, Suzanne. He claims he claims he was looking into it because of him previously working for Kirkland and Ellis. Not even talking about his father, so Donald Barr possibly hiring Jeffrey Epstein for the Dalton School. Even though the dates are kind of iffy, but it's still possible. Okay.
Yep.
So he doesn't mention that. He just mentions, I used to work for Kirkland and Ellis, the law firm that represented Jeffrey Epstein, that Alexander Acosta also previously worked for beforehand during the 90s. So again, does anybody think that this is going to amount to anything? I will get some more information that's trickling out, but other than that, we ain't going to get crap. I mean, I almost think that this Bill Clinton picture of him wearing the blue dress and the red high heels, I'm not going to say that it ain't true and it doesn't exist. I'm going to say it's very interesting that this comes out.
Yes, and, who was it that I was listening to today? They said that they'd had that picture for 7 years, that picture was taken 7 years ago and wasn't released. Now, I didn't verify that, so I just thought that was interesting if that was true.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that in the article that I written for it, that the person had held on to these pictures for many, many years, that the person who had snapped a picture of the painting and had not released it. But yeah, it's very interesting of where this all...
And it looks like a tomb. It looks like a tomb.
Yeah.
The way that they have the door open, and it looks like an old Egyptian tomb with Bill in there. So I think he's going to be the next one, which will...
Yeah.
This is my theory.
Now, we know Bill's got some heart issues, okay? So your theory is Bill's going to be the next sacrifice, so when there's a brokered convention that, Hillary Clinton, who got all that plastic surgery, they're going to trot her out, and she's going to say, we have to unite the Democratic Party and run against Trump. Of course, Trump's going to beat her again, and that'll cause more outrage.
But she'll have the sympathetic vote, And all the people will rally around her. And I mean, I could see it, but I don't think she's going to beat Trump.
No. I mean, at this point, we know that all of the Democratic candidates that they have been parading out there are all jokes, including everybody's favorite Tulsi CIA CFR Gabbard. So of course she was in the CFR for 5 years, and Suzanne, she won't tell who she agrees with about the CFR and she won't tell who she disagrees with in the CFR, because when you're a CFR, it's like Fight Club. You don't talk about it. Of course, the CNP is more Council for National Policy is more hidden than the CFR. because we don't even know the membership lists of the CMP, but we know with the CFR. But so I don't think maybe Biden, maybe they might be bold enough to run Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren. I see them trying to push Elizabeth Warren right now.
They're pushing her big time.
But I mean,
did you see the article that I posted about how Biden, Warren, and Sanders all came out against Israel for what was it now? I knew I was going to do this. I posted it in Discord, and they all say that. Oh, I hate when I do this. Anyway, they came out against.
What did they come out about Israel about?
Let me look.
Okay, I brought it up. Oh, they bar Israel, Bibi Netanyahu banning Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. They got to have democratic solidarity.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't bode well with. This can't go well with Israel. So I mean,
no.
They gonna? Is this setting them up to take away the Jewish votes? And what's going on with that? Usually people don't go against their favorite ally, right?
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, the Democrats have done that periodically. The Republicans, not so much.
During a year, though, leading up to an election?
Yeah, this isn't like the anti-BDS legislation. It's nothing really big.
Okay.
If it was something like that where they come up and they say, yeah, we're for boycott and sanctions and everything, then yeah, I would be shocked. I know I was listening to Jan Irving earlier because I want to see where his disinformation is coming from, and he had Lloyd on. It was either Lloyd or Todd, and they were claiming that the UN wanted to put a star against all the Jewish goods that were coming out of Israel. Well, Jan, I went to fact check that because that seemed a little bit extreme even to me. And after about 15 minutes of searching, I could find no such article. So I think you need to check your primary citations before you bring something to light. Okay? But still, nonetheless, I mean, we know that even though some people may like Ilhan Omar because she goes against Israel, she's not our friend either. Okay? Not in the slightest bit. No. And that's the thing is Jan will say, everybody who's against Zionism is a white nationalist, or they're a Muslim apologist. No. Now, as a Christian, Islam is antithetical to Christianity, and so is apostate Judaism. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense in my opinion.
No.
Jan, you need to go back and you need to rethink some things. Okay, maybe Mormonism's getting to your brain a little bit too much. But yeah, so these women who are in Congress, they are not our
No.
they're not for us. No congressman or woman is at this point.
No.
And yes, even though they do, it was Ilhan Omar came out and was talking about, the funding to Israel and AIPAC and everything, and she's right about that. When someone's right, I'll say they're right. It's still, you got to remember, they ain't for us, okay? None of these
Right.
people are. Just because they say one good thing, they're going to stab you in the back and 10 other things, okay? So when you see Adam Green out there parading Ilhan Omar and stuff like that and everything, and that's what Jan uses against us, saying that if you're against Zionism, then you are then you're a Muslim sympathizer, and I do find that a little bit odd in that regard. But still, nonetheless, I mean, that's where we're at to this day. Is anybody labeled against Zionism, you're a supporter of Islam by Jan Irvin.
Yeah.
Why can't I say that I'm not a supporter of widespread Islamification, and I'm not a fan of Zionism either? Okay, So I guess according to that, that makes me an enemy of everyone. You know, he's going around saying,
Of course.
Have you been watching Jan lately or listening to Jan?
No, I can't. Ugh.
He's been going around saying that the Illuminati and Masonry have their ties specifically to Islam, and not, you know, talking about the ties to the Knights of Malta and the Jesuits, or their ties to Sabbatean. Well, they do talk about the ties to Sabbateanism and Frankism, but not as much as they should, or the Knights Templar, or B'nai B'rith running the KKK, and being tied in with all this, and Jewish involvement in all this as well. You know, he only talks about how it's just the Muslims. He keeps bringing up that the House of Saud are the richest family in the world. Okay, with all the Saudi Arabian wealth comes up to about a little bit over $1 trillion. I think. Let me look it up. I think it's like $1 trillion.
That's not the richest people in the world.
$1.4 trillion of the combined wealth of the House of Saud, the Saudi Arabian royal family. Now, the thing that he leaves out of that is it's not just a handful of people. That you know, if you were thinking it was like maybe like, you know, a couple of princes or something, you know, the king, you know, you'd be thinking, you know, okay, well, that makes sense. It's actually about 20 or 30 people that make up that family. When they pull all their wealth together, it's about 1.4 trillion. I'm pretty sure the Rockefeller family and the Rothschild family with less people would have more money, in my opinion,
Yes.
Jan. So you need to go back and again fact check again, please, and
Again.
stop doing limited hangouts. So what do you think about all that?
I think Jan is just he just, it's like he went on Alex Jones and they had a little conference, and Alex said, yeah, now Jan, you know, you got to blame it on the Muslims. It's never the Jews anymore, and it's not Zionism. Well, not the Jews, Zionists. And you know, they came into the little cahoots or something, because he made such a huge 180 that I just couldn't believe it. And then I just couldn't listen to him anymore. So I've completely stopped.
So, anonymous user says in the chats that the UN was talking about labeled goods from occupied territories. Yeah, I could see that. But again, Jan said they're going to label them specifically with a star, as a reference to the Star of David. So if they're going to label goods coming out of Israel, we already do that. I remember listening.
They already do it.
I know they already do it, because the wipes I used to get,
the kosher thing.
the Doctor's Best wipes I used to get, Suzanne, for my children, they came out of Israel. They were produced in Israel. Of course, you know, Council for National Policy member ardent Zionist Mark Levin used to scream up and down that was anti-Semitism to label something as a product of Israel. But we do that for every country in the world. When something comes out of the United States and you purchase it, it is labeled of a product of its manufacturing base.
Right. What about that tax, though, the kosher tax?
What do you mean?
There's a kosher tax for...
You mean to get the kosher seal of approval? That's not a government-mandated tax.
No, it's not a government-mandated tax. It is a tax, though. Let me look it up. It's been a while since I've looked into
Because
this.
the last thing about the kosher tax, it is a conspiracy theory. Because, you know, there are stuff that have to get kosher certification symbols. Now, you could say that companies have to obtain kosher certification, they have to pay for it. And that's a kosher tax, which is true, but but apparently it's a fraction of a penny. Okay.
Okay.
So it's not that much. I
didn't know if that was what Jan was talking about.
No, he's talking about it. The UN saying that the products that come out of Israel are.
They're going to be stamped with the Star of David.
Yes. No, they may be labeled coming from an occupied territory, which is fine, but that's different than putting a star on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're talking about the kosher tax. There is a possibility that corporations would pass the cost to consumer of kosher certification, so they wouldn't have to pay for it themselves. I understand that.
Yeah. I looked into that a long time ago, so if you found something that's, it's been a long time, but anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, an anonymous user also said, is the labeling of something as from occupied territories an interjection of politics and economics? Yeah, but so are anti-BDS laws, too. And those are being passed right now. So, I mean, that's, again, politics into economics. And how many countries does the United States sanction and cause political, economic, and social strife? How many countries?
Yeah.
How many, so again, of course, Jan says, by me mentioning that, I don't love America. Jan, I love the American people. I am proud of my American heritage, just like I'm proud of my French heritage and ethnicity. But that being said, nonetheless, I'm not proud of the American government.
No,
and the things
I'm
that they
either.
do.
Definitely not.
So what about Ghislaine Maxwell being spotted at In-N-Out Burger? The perfect picture that they got of her, almost like a perfect paparazzi shot, of her being, ho-hum, I'm being bothered as I'm reading the Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. What do you,
This has got to be the biggest freaking joke story. Well, did you see the other photo? The lady, I don't know. It doesn't look like her. It could be her. I don't know.
The first picture looks like her. The second picture
looks like her.
Second picture does not look like her.
No.
It looks like she is aged by like 1,000,000. It could just because she's pissed. I don't know, but
well, that's what I thought too. Maybe she's just mad. And they photoshopped the guy's head out. There's a guy sitting behind her, and
he could have
his face.
Well, he could have gotten it, but they blurred his face. But the woman is still there that was eating there. So the
guy.
No,
if you go up, you can see in the next picture. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
The second one, yeah. So there's a guy sitting behind her, because I was trying to figure out if it was really the same person.
Well, the same woman in the black shirt is there. I can make her out. She's there.
And there's a guy, you can see there's a guy, his hand in the first one. There's a bald guy. There's a bald head like right behind her, and you could see his hand in the second one, but they photoshopped out his head. So, is that really her? Or did they?
I don't know. I'm going to assume it is, just for the sake of assuming. All I know is the world is a stage, and we are merely players, and there's a lot of theater, a lot of political theater going on. So her reading that book, I find extremely interesting. Because why would she be reading that book right now, being photographed, when they couldn't find her exactly where she was, and where was she at, and was she in Massachusetts with her new boo? Where's Maxwell? And also here's another question too: is you think you'd get if someone like these people are sitting in In-N-Out Burger? Okay, you're going to recognize Ghislaine Maxwell by now, right?
Yes.
Why aren't these people
unless you're living under a rock?
Why isn't someone recording, being like, hey, I'm gonna, you expect to see those, right? You expect people to taunt her, but no, none of that. I find that extremely interesting too, as well.
Well, I think this is just a whole little, hey, this is a message, just like it all is, just like that painting a bill is. It's a message. They're sending somebody a message. They're talking through this stuff. So
now, Suzanne, they would never do anything like that.
No, of course not.
They would never send messages to people. They would never do the cremation of care and absolve their sins. None of that. Never.
None of that. No.
It's like the Bill Clinton picture. When it first came out, I told Billy Ray Valentine, this is ludicrous. This is absurd. Like, I'm not going to say that he doesn't have it, okay, and that the picture isn't real or anything like that. I just said, okay, so the assassination of Jeffrey Epstein, or if he's still alive, whatever, his supposed suicide.
Right.
That's when the elite jumped the shark, in my opinion. Now, my question is how long do the mind of the public, which is like a goldfish, how long are they going to remember this? Okay, that's my question. Is it going to be 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before everybody's like, Epstein who? Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who? Now, they keep going with this Suzanne Maxwell thing, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll continue for a couple of months for all I know. But the thing is when I saw this, I was like...
new charges levied against her?
Not yet, no.
Oh, I just read something that said there was some new charges.
Well, they haven't arrested her.
No, they haven't arrested her that we know of.
Now, if you talk about a new lawsuit...
No, there was no new lawsuit. Just said new charges. I don't know where they got that from. So
I don't know. I don't know about that. That sounds like some Source-a-Fall. You know, they found bones on Jeffrey Epstein. You know, Source-a-fail type Q nonsense. If you ask me, if anybody knows about, now I know that she's been recently. She was sued by Maria Farmer. Epstein and her were back in April. She was a new accuser that went public, but I didn't think anything new. I mean, they've been talking about arresting her, but they haven't done anything moving to arrest her yet that I know of.
Yeah, no, not that I know of either. So, I'll have to find that article that I saw right before we came on, so.
And what is she doing eating In-N-Out burger?
That was my whole thing. There's no effing way that she's going to be sitting at an In-N-Out burger reading a book. Come on.
I don't know. Maybe she's got a hanker for some meat down there. Where was she? Somewhere in California? Was it Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, Universal Studios or Universal City or something.
Everybody's telling her, saying that she's in Boston, Massachusetts, but no, she's magically photographed in Los Angeles, of all places, eating at an In-N-Out burger, reading a book about assassinations in the CIA. I mean, come on, give me a break.
I was laughing so hard when I was reading that. I just thought, how much more ridiculous is this going to get?
I mean, we have the Bill Clinton picture. Of course, you know, the Q-tips are saying, well, there's no Donald Trump picture. You know, so
Did
Bill
you
Clinton.
like that one I sent you today?
Yeah, I
was
was
trumpets.
Yeah, I was cracking up. But I mean, that's where we're at. You know, I mean, it's still left-right paradigm. You know, trust a plan. And now, if this picture is real, I think it is. I think it did turn out to be real because they found where the artist had posted. I think her name is in this article, Patrina Ryan Khalid. She was the artist for it, and they show where she was selling it on. I think.
Yeah, I saw that.
What was one of those art places? Not Etsy. I can't remember.
It was in a gallery, I thought.
It was something like that. What they found. So I mean, this picture is. I mean, it's funny. It's a roasting picture. I mean, you know.
It is hilarious.
So I mean, it's what your definition of is, I guess.
Exactly. I love it how he looks like Uncle Sam, you know. I want you.
So why don't we get to the faux child trafficking trial between Alan Dershowitz and Chris Christie. Of course, good old Alan Morton Dershowitz again defending you know, child trafficking from a biblical standpoint. You know, talking about it was okay for Joseph's brothers to sell him into slavery. And, of course, my man, Council for National Policy member Chris Christie, who I've done the research, and one day I will present it, as a New Jersey Attorney General, he did actually bust up a major pedophile ring, supposedly. And I still don't know what to think about that, because he is a neocon. He is a slime ball. Chris Christie is, but and he's friends with Trump, and he is who Trump wanted to be his vice president. You know, they are
really?
Friends. Yes, that's who he was head of the transition team. He was supposed to be vice president.
Oh, but he had the whole gate thing.
No. That was the Bridgegate was before then. They picked Pence because he wanted in with the evangelical CMP side. He wanted in with the family. That's what it was. So you know, Chris Christie's going to play the prosecutor for this false trial. Alan Morton Dershowitz is going to play the defense, and he's going to talk about how it was okay for Joseph to be sold by his brothers into slavery. So yeah, I mean, there you go. You know, I mean, this is important. This is really important things that are
groundbreaking
getting done.
stuff.
Oh yeah, stuff that you need to find out. You don't hear on. So what do you think about that? What do you think
Oh
about
my
that, Suzanne?
gosh. I just think Dersh is he is just digging him. The hole keeps getting deeper and deeper with him. I don't know what he's thinking. When I read that, I couldn't believe it. But then again, look where we're at.
Oh yeah. Also, Adam Green, if you're listening, because I know that you do, because you took a lot of my Dershowitz material from my Epstein Trump presentation. Um, I'm gonna be covering some more on Dershowitz, about some of his early ties back in the day. He's defended quite a few pedophiles that people have not talked about. And of course, Alan Morton Dershowitz, he allegedly loves defending pedophiles. And so was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer up to December 2018, and probably up to his alleged death.
Oh, probably.
So, good man, Alan Morton Dershowitz, fighting for our freedom. So, Suzanne, what about the American flags on the U.S. Virgin Islands being half-staffed for good old Jeffrey Epstein? What do you think about that?
Oh my God. Has anybody really seen that?
Yeah,
Do you really think that's true? Is there a photo?
there is video, yes,
of it flying half?
of it having half-staff, yes. I've seen the video.
Well, I mean, it is his island, so.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, he is a convicted pedophile, and going back for pedophile charges again.
Right.
So you tell me. I don't think they should have ran at half staff for that.
No,
that's just me.
Well, it's like, hey, F you, all you people, that. I mean, it's just offense upon offense upon offense. It's offensive.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean,
and I think to me, it's almost like a joke, but maybe not to these people.
But isn't this
I
just
don't even know.
isn't this just to further divide us though, and get people riled up and pissed?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm upset about it, but
Everybody wants to storm everywhere now.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
got
Let's talk about that.
Let's storm.
Let's storm Area
storm
50.
the Clintons.
Let's storm Area 51 and get annihilated by advanced weapons. Let's storm the
Exactly.
Clintons and drag them out into the streets like we're a third world country and there's no rule of law. And yeah, I get it. Rule of law is a joke in
Right.
this country. I understand that.
Obviously.
But still, Jeffrey Epstein, like I say, Jeffrey Epstein should have gotten trial, even though the trial was
Yes.
probably going to be corrupted. And his suicide, though, if it is true that or murder, he is dead, then he may burn in hell.
Yep.
But still, nonetheless, he should have had that trial for his accusers to hopefully obtain justice. Yes, they
Right.
obtained spiritual justice, but they didn't attain moral justice or societal justice.
And I do believe that he offended, I don't even know how many people, how many girls, I think it was just.
Well, we don't know. I mean, it's in the 50s, 100s, 150s.
I heard it could be upwards of 200.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible at this point.
So, and most of those girls probably will never say anything. They just wanted to move on with their lives.
Yeah.
So, it's a slap in the face, and but then again, like what Amazing Polly was talking about, all of the look at Virginia's lawyer and who he's tied to and who he's
Bradley
defended
Edwards.
before it. I mean, where does it end? I mean, I know lawyers take cases for a lot of people.
You talk about David Boies, not Bradley
Boys.
Edwards.
Yeah, boys.
Yeah, I mean.
But I mean, is it just a coincidence? I mean, that's
No,
the thing.
no.
Is this all just a big joke? I mean, not a big joke, but you know what I mean? How everybody is interconnected and.
Well, I mean, no, it's not. I mean, it's designed by that way. I mean, I think Boies, did he represent Harvey Weinstein, if I remember, when he had
Yes.
issue with his employment contract, and was going to sit on the board of director and act as the attorney for Theranos, which of course was done by Elizabeth Holmes, and Josh Reeves has talked about Theranos, and I'm going to talk about Theranos. Of course, you know, you had to trust Theranos and invest in them because of the investors that were sitting around Theranos, like Henry Kissinger, James Mattis, you know, because they were involved with that. Had to have been good, right, and not a money sink or a money dump. Or they did perfect the technology, but you'll never get it. They have it now, and you'll never get it. And so they tanked the company and make it seem like it was a big scam because now they have the technology.
Right,
You go back and forth
exactly.
and about that. So yeah, when you
Yeah.
look and see what Boys is, it's probably more. Those are only two things that I've known through my own research. When you look at that, I mean, yeah, he's suspect that and of course, Alan Dershowitz is suing Boys right now. They're a little spat fest. Where Alan Warren Dershowitz said that he's only had sex but didn't mention that the person he only had sex with during the time of the allegations, the Virginia Roberts Giuffre allegations, was his wife, and that he had to say that during that time period he had an excellent sex life. So there you go. You know, Alan Warren Dershowitz has an excellent sex life when he's supposedly molesting Virginia Roberts Giuffre when she is a child. But okay, we'll take him at his word on that. So I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, whatever you want to call the fix is in. The bar fix is in.
The fix is in.
And I really don't know what's going to become of any of that. You know.
Okay, so I think Acosta was put in the position he was put in just so he could come out and say, oh yeah, well, this is the reason why. And, you know, the defense he gave was so little, and then he just folded, and then he's gone. So is that the same thing going to happen with Barr, you think?
Yes.
Okay, I do too. And then where will it go from there? Will anybody pick up the reins? There's probably going to be investigations upon investigations. But just like the Mueller report, nothing ever comes of it.
Well, nothing ever will. I mean, you know, they're not going to get down to the real meat and potatoes of who's running these things that Josh Reeves and I has barely scratched the surface of. The Mountain Jews, the Russian Jewish oligarchs that are Mountain Jews, the Knights of Malta connections to all of this. None of that's ever going to be talked about or anything like that. It's going to be covered up, and we're going to argue infinitum. You know, it's Trump, it's Clinton, it's this, it's that. And when it gets down to it, you know, two major things about all this, right? One is the human trafficking aspect of this and the molestation aspect of this. Another is the money laundering aspect of this.
Yes, I wanted to get into that too.
So go ahead. Let's talk about that. What do you got
wasn't
to say
it
about
Alabama? Was it Alabama? Is that where he won, or was it Arkansas where he won the money for that? Or he won the lottery, and it was Zorro Trust.
And where he bought the Zorro Ranch with?
Is that what you're thinking that he? Because was it?
I think it's more than that. I think.
Million?
So it came out that Jeffrey Epstein
had won.
He won the Oklahoma Powerball.
Oklahoma. Okay, I couldn't remember where it was.
And then yes, he parlayed that into the Zorro Trust.
He claimed, okay, but it was Zorro Trust was who claimed the
lottery,
who
claimed
right?
it. Yes. They parlayed it into that. So my question with all that is again, how the hell did Epstein win the lottery? That's a question I have. Two, we know that he was also allegedly managing money for Lex Wexner, Adnan Khashoggi, untold amounts of other people. So was that money laundering? Was that money moving? Was, the Panama Papers show any of that? So he was probably laundering money for these Russian Jewish oligarchs.
Yep.
So we really, his connections being seen with the Rothschilds, of course, Lynn Rothschild or Evelyn Rothschild, either one of those, depending on the story, got Dershowitz and Epstein together. So we really don't know. There's a big money laundering aspect with the elite and going with Epstein, in my opinion. There was there was one where so there's two sides to this, Suzanne. There's the child trafficking, um, human trafficking, pedophilia aspect to this. There's the blackmail brownstone aspect that comes to this, and there is the money laundering
Yeah.
and money managing aspect that comes to this. Jeffrey Epstein may have underwritten Trump's purchase of Mar-a-Lago in 1985. That may have been when they first met. Maybe they didn't become friends to 1987, 1988, where Trump had said that he'd known him for 15 years. And we haven't confirmed that he had underwritten Mar-a-Lago yet, but it's definitely a possibility. Because both Trump, Marianne Barry Trump, his sister, the Russian oligarch Dmitry Robolev, Abe Gosman, and Epstein, Trump, and Lex Wexner were all moving these properties in West Palm Beach, interchanging them between each other and selling them and buying them for prices that were not fair. So again, money laundering.
Yes.
We really don't know how deep this goes. I go back and forth if Epstein had a very high intelligence and was his mastermind with money, or he was just a middleman running a Blackstone operation. It could be either or, in my opinion.
I think it was a middleman. I don't know. Did you listen to that interview with him?
With
Someone
Epstein?
posted? Yeah, there's an
No.
interview.
No, I've read the interview that he gave here recently about how he had. It was a couple of years ago actually. He had information that on people that were very high up that Epstein had mentioned to the reporter. But I haven't seen anything recently. Yes.
This was supposedly an interview at his home, and it's just audio of a reporter, or I guess it's a reporter that he's given an interview, and he says that when he's stuck at age 27. I thought I sent it to you.
No, I haven't seen it. You might have
sent it to you. I just found it really interesting, and what was the other thing that he was saying? He didn't seem all that intelligent with the way he was talking. Now, whether he was or not, I don't know, because I haven't really heard him speak other than that interview, and then the little stuff on the news.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth.
Yeah.
I really don't know. It could be. It may not be. I don't know. Do you got any other news stories or anything else that you think of, or anything you want to talk about concerning Jeffrey Epstein, Suzanne? Is there anything you'd like to bring up to discuss?
Oh. No, I can't think of anything else other. No, not really. Just I think we covered it all.
What about the rumors that President Trump is eyeing to purchase Greenland to annex it? What about that?
What is that all about? What is it? He just likes Greenland, or
I don't know. They're trying to sell him to buy the territory from the Danish, so that we have Greenland. Be very interesting. I mean, it would fit the whole manifest destiny.
That's true.
Of course, Trump would be like, "I'm the one who bought Greenland."
Exactly.
I don't know if that's going to happen, if the Danish even want to sell it.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I saw this, I was like, really? This is what we're going to go with? This is what we're going to talk about? So I just thought that story was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to briefly discuss, because it's kind of, very interesting that they'll put those funny stories sometimes out there, and it may happen. It could happen for all I know. We can wake up 5 months from now and I'm like, well, Suzanne, we annexed Greenland. It became the 51st state or territory. Became the 51st state before Puerto Rico. I don't know. Anything's possible. But I just found that very interesting that they were talking about that.
Well, so are there natural reserves up there? Is there oil, gas, all that
Oh yeah, oh of
rigmarole up
course.
there?
Oh
So,
yes, oh yes.
is he doing it as a, I don't know, maybe, who knows? Maybe he wants to put a hotel there.
Yeah, maybe. I guess he wasn't able to put one in Russia like he wanted to, so maybe I guess he's gonna put
Next best thing.
one on Greenland. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of resources up there.
Yeah.
So, and also one thing too, I know a lot of people poo-poo on the Mandela effect, but one thing I wanted to mention to you, so we're talking about Greenland, is I always thought as a child that the Arctic Circle was like an ice sheet similar to Antarctica.
Yes.
But when you look now, it's not at all. It's
Nope,
like
it's not.
a broken up ice flow. I misspelled Arctic. What was it? I typed it in wrong. But yeah, it's not a ice. It's just broken up ice. When you go look at it on Google, it's like this. This is the North Pole. It's just the Arctic Ocean. It's just a little bit of ice there and everything. But then again, when you look at this Wikipedia, interesting enough, it's still there as an ice sheet. I don't know what to say about that. What do you got? Anything on that?
Well, I mean, we're trusting Google Earth and satellite feed, that could have been doctored before we could even see what the heck is there. So, yeah, it used to be a sheet of ice, and the North Pole, that was, yeah, it was never broken up like that.
Yeah, I find it interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to go into flat Earth because
Nah.
I'm not a flat earther.
No,
but I do
I'm not either.
think there are some things to the Mandela effect, though. I really do. I don't think it's
do
just issues with people's collective consciousness. I look at it as more of Satan's corruption happening on Earth on a massive scale, corrupting both the timelines and people's own memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just.
I think Google has a lot to do with it. And they are also changing words. From what it looks to me, they're taking however many times the word is misspelled, and they're just changing it to however many times, or whatever misspelled word was misspelled the most, and they're switching it.
Or they're giving words completely new definitions,
Yes.
I've talked about before, dumb. Dumb means mute. It doesn't mean stupid. That's why you have a dumb waiter. It's a silent waiter. It's a pulley system. So, eventually we're not going to know what words are. Our children are going to have a very tough time, discerning, what words mean, because they're always constantly changing the definitions of words to suit their agenda, the world's
Yes,
agenda. Very similar to what occurred in 1984.
Yes. No, that book just seemed to be like what was going to unfold.
Yeah, it's like
there's so many books like that, though, like there's one that shows, that talks about, there's so many books that that happens later on.
One thing that we can't talk about real quick, one last thing, is, and you've done this research, and I want to have you on talking about Esalen. Did you ever come across the guy who disappeared off of YouTube? I guess it's a little bit of tangent from that, of how he was covering how the Hoover Dam was a directed energy weapon. Do you remember that?
Are you talking about Professor Doom?
I don't know if that was him, but there was a guy who used to make videos about, because all the iconography around the Hoover Dam, and
he was making a lot of stuff about
the luminous iconography, and then he just stopped talking about it being a directed energy weapon. I don't know if it is or not. Again, this is speculation.
I think that might be who it is.
This is speculation. This isn't something where John Brisson is like, the Hoover Dam is a directive energy weapon. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it's interesting. So, and it's unverifiable.
Right.
So, What about the? I want to have you on to talk about Esalen. I need to do my research on Esalen, before I have you on to talk about it.
I need to brush up again. It's been
But
a while.
do you find it? What people don't realize is that with the intellectual dark web pushing, psychedelic use like DMT, LSD, marijuana, which marijuana does have medicinal benefits when used properly. For example, if I had cancer, I would consider the use of Rick Simpson oil. But there's a difference between using marijuana medicinally and using CBD oil, which would have no active parts of the THC, which is psychoactive. Even though Rick Simpson oil does have both THC and CBD, among other cannabinoids. There's a big difference between using it medicinally. Like there's a big difference between using opioids medicinally or using anesthetics medicinally. Within reason. The thing is there's a big difference between using it and using marijuana frequently to escape reality, to not accept responsibility, to become a drug and a crutch, just like all the rest of them. And it can't open you up to spirits. A lot of these psychedelics, even alcohol is not really a psychedelic. It still can open you up to spiritual possession, demonic possession, in my opinion. And that's what they're all setting this up for. But one thing that people might not realize is through the maps and psychedelic use is pushed heavily during Republican presidents. It was pushed heavily during George H.W. Bush's administration. It's now being pushed heavily during Donald Trump's administration, both within the government and within the administrations themselves, the people surrounding themselves in the administration, and organizations around the administration, and people like the intellectual dark web at this time are pushing it, and the culture and society is pushing it. So again, it makes me wonder why this is happening. Do you got any clue and any insight on that, Suzanne? And Jan Irving did do a lot of good work on this. However, he was one of the initial pushers of this, and I do think he's a limited hangout because of that. And he's who allegedly gave Joe Rogan his psychedelics. So in a way, Jan Irving's like the modern day Timothy Leary. Yeah, but maybe he did an about face if you want to go based on that narrative. But go ahead.
Right. Oh my gosh, everything just went right out the window. What was I going to say? Oh, so like in the 60s, right? Why were they pushing LSD? Was it just were they trying to get kids to stop rioting and stop protesting against, well, they weren't rioting, but stop protesting against the war? It seemed like we were so much more connected back then, and for one purpose, which was for the betterment of everyone, and so there was a real pushback against the government. So maybe it's just a precursor that they think, oh hey, this might happen, so let's just push these drugs. And God knows, what are they spraying in the sky? They could be spraying all kinds of psychedelics, or I know they've put lithium up there to test the wind.
Well, we know that the Process Church of the Final Judgment, which became the Best Friends Animal Society, allegedly had, where are they stationed at? They allegedly possibly had put LSD in the drinking water.
Oh, yes.
Hold on, I gotta Google where they're stationed at. It's somewhere in the Midwest. Utah. So yeah, they
in like the town's drinking water.
Yeah, they had allegedly, there's accusations that they had, and these are accusations from townspeople that they had microdosed the town's drinking water with psychedelics. Yes.
Wow. I wouldn't put it past people these days. And definitely not, the powers that shouldn't be.
I want to have someone to come on and talk about the Process Church of the Final Judgment.
Who's the...
You can say, Suzanne? Go ahead.
Who's the person... There's somebody that... Is it... Can't think of the guy's name.
But, Josh Reese has talked about it, too. The Council for National Policy, and a lot of the, the Bushes and even the Trumps have connections to the Process Church of the Final Judgment as well, which became the Best Friends Animal Society, So again, hiding in plain sight. Now they're just helping animals.
Yes.
Instead of doing evil acts. I'm pretty sure they are still doing evil acts, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. But yeah, that they morphed into that to kind of look what we're doing now. We best friends save them all. So of course,
Uh,
a Satanist church would again put animals above humans, but
of course.
that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
And of course, also the Process Church of the Final Judgment was directly tied into the Church of Scientology.
Oh.
Yep, and they had learned their methods from Scientology.
Uh-huh.
Because I think both McLean and Moore, who created the Process Church of the Final Judgment, they were involved with the London branch of the Church of Scientology, and that's where they met. So I think it
Oh.
was, even though they were declared suppressive persons and expelled from the church, I'm pretty sure they were free zoners. They were an offshoot of
Mm-hmm.
Scientology, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it sounds like it.
But gotta give props to Josh. He's talked about them. So
Yeah, wasn't it? Is it Derek? Who's the guy running for mayor?
Derek
Quantum
Bros
of
in Houston of the Conscious Resistance.
Yes. Didn't he talk about them? Does he talk about them
I
or?
don't think I've ever heard him talk about the Church of
There's one other I know I've
Church
heard
of
one
Final
other
Judgment.
person talking about them, so I'll have to
If
find out who it is.
anybody in the chat knows anybody who talks about the Process Church of the Final Judgment that's not a shill other than Reeves and Opperman. Opperman does. Maybe I'll get that on.
Yeah, Opperman does.
If I can get anybody else that does, and also George from cavdev.org knows a lot about it. If anybody out there knows anybody, let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know, because I'd love to talk about, of course, there are connections to the serial killers, and there's a lot of connections they have with
Oh
everything that's
man, I
gone on.
know.
But yeah, if anybody
Those-
knows, let me know.
Definitely. Well, that whole thing with the Estlin, that's when I started watching Jan, is when I started looking into the Estlin, and then I noticed he had that brain, whatever it is.
Well, now he's got a recently brain map of all people supposedly connected to the GDL, the Goyim Defense League. So he's got Handsome Truth, Jesse Sposs is connected, Steve Outram, which is Steve, interesting why he has connected to them, I'll never know, because Steve is a Trump supporter. Who knows about the CMP, but yet is still a Trump supporter. It baffles me.
Huh.
And Albert Bashai, who apparently is a Muslim banker, no less, if you believe the My Life profile for him, and My Life isn't always 100% accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so, Jan did a video on them, a hit piece on all of them here recently with Todd, coming out, mentioning that Jesse Spots was once an actor, which he was. That Handsome Truth, which I can't remember Handsome Truth's name, was once an actor. Yes, he was. They both talked about that. And yes, I do have, Handsome Truth does, Jesse will talk about the Knights of Malta. He'll talk about the Jesuits. Handsome Truth, I haven't heard him mention anything other than it's the Jews.
Yeah.
Which, here, we've read the documents. It's not, the Jews are not behind every freaking thing that's ever happened in existence, okay?
No.
no, I'm not a friend of Zionism. I've made that known.
Yes.
But, there are differences between, Pentateuch following Jews, Jews that follow the Talmud, and Jews that follow the Kabbalah, or Jews that follow a combination of any of them. And I will say this, I did try to verify for my own research into when I was doing reread the documents. I tried to verify. I tried to verify a lot of the Talmud quotes from single hand first sources, and Jan is right that a lot of them don't add up. And so, and I'll cover that. I think I did cover that on the show. And I'll be putting it up eventually, especially when it pertains to pedophilia. But that being said, though, the Talmud pretty much I look at it the same way as I look at Muslim hadiths. That they're just Jewish rabbis and different than Islamic imams, are just arguing about law. Okay,
Right.
that's all it is.
Right.
And you can argue that the Babylonian Talmud is older than the Jewish Talmud, which that's true. I mean, I can't argue that. That is true, and they're different in that regard. But, I think there's a big difference between even the Jews that follow the Talmud and the Jews that follow the Kabbalah.
Right.
And I could be wrong on that. But again, when we're talking about the Mountain Jews, the white Caucasian Persian Jews, they primarily follow the Torah and the Kabbalah.
Yes.
The Ashkenazis, like the Chabaluevich, primarily follow the Talmud. So
if they follow anything.
Yeah. So
they're mostly
there's differences.
Or atheists.
There's differences.
Yeah, there is.
And a lot of people don't talk about those differences, and it rages me
I
to
think
no
a lot
end.
of people just don't know. Like we didn't know.
Oh yeah, I mean that is true. We didn't know that the Mountain Jews possibly may have been the ones who taught Hitler the esoteric arts, which later became the Black Sun, the organization that Himmler was a part of. So we don't know. We really don't know. I know we're going to be flushing that out more later.
Yes.
But there's so much that we don't know when it comes to all
and it's really
this.
interesting though, because when you look into, I mean, we had no idea about this sect of people, and
why are any truthers out there, as Josh Reese had put it? Why are any of these supposed white nationalists out there? Why have they never talked about the Mountain Jews? David Duke, Richard Spencer,
Right.
Adam Green.
I mean, I found articles from back in the 90s about them.
Yeah,
so it's
why?
not like they weren't written about.
So
they just weren't in
the
mainstream.
Regnery family, Red Ice Radio. Why
Exactly.
are not, if any white nationalists are out there listening, why has none of them ever talked about the Mountain Jews? Is it because the Mountain Jews are white? Is that why? Is it because they're white by ethnicity and Jewish by religion? Is that why? Because they are Caucasian, they are from Persia. That does make them white.
Yep.
So again, I wonder why that is. They think Trump is the great white hope, just like many of the white nationalists thought, and some of them still do to this day, that Trump is the great white hope.
I know.
Cyrus the Great.
I know. I was just thinking that.
So I mean, that's where we're at,
Yeah.
So, and I will say this: with the white nationalism, a lot of it is being funded by the Regnery family. A lot of it is being funded by Alexander Dugin. A lot of it is being funded by Jeff Geezy, and that's where it's coming from. And those people don't mention to you about the Russian Jewish oligarchs that are the Mountain Jew descent. They only tell you of the Russian Jewish oligarchs that are of Ashkenazi descent.
Right. And why is that?
I don't know. You tell me. That's for research to come up.
Who has all the money?
Hey, now that's for research to come out later now.
Yeah.
Jan Irving told... And they don't have all the money. They have a good portion of the money. But
it's
yes.
a lot of money.
That's for Jan Irving to come out and say... that's why Jan Irving will come out and say that the House of Saud has all the money.
There you go.
So I can't wait to be branded a white nationalist because I'm talking about the Mountain Jews because they're white.
Yes.
But that will happen. So anybody who's out there who's got white nationalist leanings, look who sold you that box of goodies and looks what they're not telling you. Okay?
Yes.
And yes, if anybody asks, I am proud of my heritage and ethnicity, that I am French, and Scottish and English, but I am not a white nationalist. That being said, I am against Zionism, though. I will say that.
Yes.
So yes, I
am
have
as
to
well.
make some distinctions here,
Yep.
because people will try to label you and put you in a box
Right.
before you're able to make any distinctions. I'll be like Bill Cooper. The ADL will hate me and say I'm anti-Semite. The white nationalists will hate me because I'm not a white nationalist.
Right.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. Exactly. Same here. And my family came here in 1624 and from England, and
Oh, you blue blood. My family came here during the French.
Totally.
My family came here during the French Revolution. My grandfather was cousin to Marquis de Lafayette. We served on the German army, Frenchmen in the German army, of course, since I live in Fayetteville, my family was gifted land here in Fayetteville for fighting in the American Revolution by the Americans. And that was land that was given to Marquis de Lafayette. My ancestor went back to France, but his children came here, and he was thrown in jail by the Jacobins to be beheaded during the French Revolution. Of course, that fate did not fall on Marquis de Lafayette. And my ancestor succumbed to wounds both from the war and what was done to him before he made it to the be beheaded by the Jacobins. So yeah,
Wow.
so I do have a little bit of a small bit of royal ancestry, I guess. But interesting
Yeah.
thing about that is I have no money, I've none of the
I know,
power or anything to
same thing,
claim
right?
that. I am barely scraping by as it is. So
I know.
it's funny how, I guess because my family wasn't conniving and wasn't part of their elite structure,
Exactly.
we're poor. The Brisson family is. So I guess it's where it's at.
Yeah, well, I'm part of the Cox family, so back in, not Cox Cable, probably an offshoot of them, but they were Quakers, and they, we came out west, but I have a 11th great grandpa that the Battle of Alamance, Harmon Cox, Solomon Cox, and William Cox all fought in the Battle of Alamance there in your state. So, interesting history.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's fun talking history. It's fun doing genealogy.
Yeah,
My grandpa,
it
he
is.
passed away in December, and he left me all that, and I've been doing my own research, and I want to show it to my children. I wish I could get it into my mother's side. My mother's side is English and Italian. Just a real little bit of Italian, not much. I'm actually distantly related to the famous Italian chef Mario Bertolli. I think he's like my
nice.
5th cousin or something like that. So maybe I get
Cool.
him to cook me some Italian food. But yeah, so it's just interesting when you look into genetics and family and everything.
Well, I'm related to I don't know how, but Dick Cheney. Ugh, the Bushes.
Well, I hope that's
Yeah.
way far in the distance.
It's
and not
way
in,
far. It's distant cousins, but I can trace it through the House of Kent and all that rigmarole. I think so many people are related though through that.
Oh yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
But still, it's kind of funny when you go, "Oh my gosh, I would never like want to be a family member of that person."
No, Dick Cheney doesn't have a heart. Big member of the Council for National Policy. Horrible human being.
Oh, I can't stand him.
No, he is definitely has some sort of demon manifesting in him. That is for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
But it was good. I had fun talking.
Yeah, me
Talking
too.
genealogy, and yeah, if you're out there, no matter who you are, research your family history.
Definitely.
Learn your roots. Learn where you came from. Take pride in that. And I guess pride is the wrong word.
You can be proud of who you are.
Show reverence to your ancestors and to your
Yes.
heritage is a better way of putting it. Pride is a little bit too much.
I do like that.
But yeah, very much so. Research. Even people who are young. It's very good. That's what they're trying to destroy. Is they're trying to
Yes.
destroy people's knowledge of their heritage and their culture. And it's a sad thing, but it's definitely what's going on.
Yeah. I know.
And that's where we're at. They want to erase history, and they've been doing a
Yes.
long time doing so, and may have done it previously beforehand in the past, for all we know.
I know. That's what's so frustrating about trying to figure all this out as we do.
Yeah, Well, Suzanne, thank you for coming on. I'm definitely going to have you on again.
Thanks, John.
Very,
Yeah.
very surely in the next month. Start doing your research on Estlin so we can talk Estlin, okay?
Yes, I will, definitely. That'll be fun. I have a lot of goodies that I found out about that, so just need to get it all back in my brain.
Yes, get it downloaded back into you. Well, have a good evening. Thank you for coming on.
All right, you too.
Bye, Suzanne.
Thanks.
Bye. All right, everybody. That's it for this evening. I hope you liked this episode. We talked Epstein. We talked heritage. We talked news stories. Suzanne's a dear friend and a dear friend of this channel. She's one of my lead researchers in helping me uncover things. So I want to give her some shout outs. She does excellent research. She goes on a lot of podcasts. Maybe, hopefully, one day she'll start something herself. You never know. It'd be very good. You know, I hope maybe that she does. But, you know, that's about it. Next week, hopefully, I'm going to have George from cavdev.org on. Maybe Monday if things work out. He was supposed to be on this evening, but he has something to come up. So maybe Monday so we can do Franklin Part 2. I'm going to start continuing on my CMP stuff next week as well. We're going to read some more news articles and everything. And I'm going to start doing a little bit of Christian themed things on this channel as well. Going to start talking about the spirit of Leviathan. Going to start talking about deliverance ministry. And I'm going to start doing some videos on that too as well. That's really about it. Look for more guests. Look for more information. Look for more topics. The next PowerPoint presentation that I'm thinking about doing is going to be on disproving the myth of adrenochrome that is put out there. Now, I do think that they do blood sacrifices, that it does occur. I do think that ritual abuse happens. I do think there is some mystical power in the blood, but I don't think I think adrenochrome is disinformation upon that, and it's going to be well sourced. It's going to have proof, and it's going to show why that might be a limited hangout, and why the powers in the blood in and of itself, and adrenochrome is not a drug that the elites use to prolong their life, because adrenochrome is an oxidizing agent. It makes people age. It destroys their health, and your body detoxifying is it. You're making adrenochrome right now through oxidation through the catch-all methyltransferase enzyme, and your body's detoxifying it right now as you make it. So that's it for this evening. I'm going to end with, because of Jeffrey Epstein's flags were at half-mast today in the Virgin Islands, I'm going to end with the Lawrence E. King singing the national anthem at the 1984 Republican convention, because, you know, I'm patriotic, you know. I love the American government. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. And since those flags were at half-mast at Jeffrey Epstein, then who would be the best to sing the national anthem? Of course, the ledge runner of the one of the main runners of the Franklin ring, with Craig B. Spence, Lawrence E. King, in preparation for George hopefully coming on next week to talk about the Franklin scandal. Good night, everyone. And until next time, read the documents. Take care. Have a good night.